Alrighty. It is Council Club. Today is, oh, yes, I did see that Fitzer's running for Douglas County Engineer. Thought of someone else who I think should run against him, but we'll get to that at some point. All right, so today is February 10th, Thursday, as it always is a Thursday. We're going to just kind of briefly recap the 8th meeting because there was not, I mean, it was one of the first times in a while that we haven't actually gone physically to city council to sit in the chambers and torture ourselves. And it was a good idea for me. I'll say that I was happy. We like rode bikes before, we went to lunch. Like it was just a very not city council day, and it was a good idea for my brain. And I'll assume it was okay for you too to not show up. We did watch it, on the live stream, which is nice to have as an option. I was kind of tuning in and out, kind of doing other things at the same time. So I don't know if y'all paid too much attention, but it did seem like, I guess what I heard was some debate about an asphalt plant, but it passed. Festerson once again voted with the Republicans. That's becoming a pretty consistent theme, which I don't know.
So that passed.
Yeah.
Do you know where that is?
Yeah.
Grover?
It's just
Stone. Yeah.
Yeah, right along the trail.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because Begley, I had to go back and listen to it, but he said something towards the end that he was like, it's really important for people to come and engage with your city council member. And I think he was trying to do some damage control for, the previous 2 weeks kind of
Library crap.
Yeah, just how basically people came and talked and were ignored. And I have a little quote. He said, it's always good to hear from people that are on the agenda. I think that's an important point. If your name is on the agenda,
you better be there.
And he also kind of said, I heard a lot from neighbors. The one thing that he really lit up was, he's like, I heard from a developer. And he's just like, if a developer speaks, then we're listening. And he kept saying businesses and developers. But Sarah and I have been talking about how, like, unless your name is on the agenda or it is directly across your direct neighbor, but even then we have a NIMBY on an item here that wrote in some opposition. We're not saying that you should never go to city council, but it's certainly it's making it a lot easier for us to go through the agenda because
that doesn't matter. That's
yeah, there's so much stuff. We're just like, oh, I had to, like, there's a whole planning section at the beginning. I just would be like, oh my God. So I've been going back and using the so there's the agenda, but then afterwards they publish the journal, which is how they voted and who came and spoke in opposition. It's basically the minutes. And so it's a little bit of time consuming, but I've been making a spreadsheet on how all the votes have been going. Yeah, it's nuts how few things. I literally think I can count, there's been less than 10 items that have not passed. And I'm already up to 1,000 items that did pass. And so the amount of times where input or even any discussion happens it's right now, I think it's 0.4% of the time. So not 100%, but 99.6% of the time, it seems to not really, I hate to say not matter.
Not impact their vote. Maybe
Yeah.
you can say it that way.
And then I'm starting to, the spreadsheet doesn't lie. And man, Festerson votes with the Republicans more often than not. So I want to get it finished. I'm only going back to June of 21 when this new batch was inaugurated. So yeah, we'll see. That's sort of where my spreadsheets are taking me lately.
Good times.
But yeah, so there was the asphalt one, and then the Little Italy BID.
Oh,
so
yeah.
they're forming the BID.
Yeah. Little Bohemia.
And I feel like that one lady that spoke, that was just a citizen, but did she also speak at the library? I feel like she was.
She was moderating the library discussion. Susan Koenig.
No, okay, so yes, Koenig, but then also the neighbor that is not a business owner.
Kim.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, who actually was going to join Council Club. She's hilarious. She talked. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, she. So there was a little bit of discussion, And then Councilmember Johnson kind of said the same thing along the lines of Begley, like, it's important for people to come down and talk. And it's just like,
But is it though?
yeah, I think they're both kind of like, feeling, I don't know, just sort of, they got mud on their face. I think this whole library, streetcar, Mutual of Omaha debacle. It kind of, anytime I've been seeing public input, like I forget who, someone's asking for public input. I feel like it's all the time. I mean, people are saying, write the governor, tell him to do the right thing. It's just like, oh man, I feel like there was before the library and after the library. And ever since that has gone on, I feel like public input has a different flavor or a different feel.
Yeah, special type of meaninglessness. Yeah.
That's sort of what inspired me to dive deep into the elections coming up, the midterm elections. There's actually quite a lot of good candidates and quite a lot of bad candidates. And so I think if there's ever a time for people to get involved and to make actual change, like if one person gets in, it's going to go one way. And so we'll get to that in a little bit.
Yeah, we've been having a lot of conversations about like, okay, how silly is it that we have been thinking we could affect change in this specific way when like once they're in there, they're going to vote the way that they're going to vote. And I do have to say, I'm grateful that Johnson and Begley and Palermo have the spine to vote the way that their constituents are asking them to, and like actually paying attention to some of this stuff. And I think that was also what we noticed with the formation of the little boho BID was Councilor Johnson was like, oh, so it's good to talk to your community, like kind of reiterating almost how like when the North 24th Street BID was formed, none of her community knew what was going on. And so just trying to maybe make sure that it's handled differently when new BIDs are formed. So there were kind of some little like, I don't want to say like underhanded comments, but like some comments that you could tell were based on the way that things have gone poorly in the past. So I don't know, they're learning, they're hopefully doing the best they can. I don't know.
So my thought is though, is that because we have this micromanager and that's leading us, who watches these? Anyway, she holds things over those guys. Like you're not going to get funding. You're not going to get this, and this. And, we can go down and talk all we want. And if she's holding that over their heads. So how many times do we put up with that? Like how many times, it's almost like crying wolf,
Yeah, it feels rough. I don't know. I think that as long as she's the queen, to me, it feels pretty tough to affect change because of exactly what you said, Cindy. Like, as long as she's there, she is the one she's super vindictive. We know that. And she's really incapable of admitting fault. And she's really just beyond reproach. Like, and, that's what's really tricky. And so I think, there's a good comment made in the chat that Pete Festerson is trying to kind of make sure that he's like moderate, sort of Republican-y, so that when he runs for mayor, because we all know he's been talking about that for a long time. So when he runs, he can get the West Omaha votes, which is mostly Republican. So it's all political strategery. And I think it sucks because he should be listening to the people he's supposedly serving now, which he is not listening to them. So how would we feel about him as a mayor when he already is serving the people that he supposedly represents currently? I don't know. It's a bummer, but yeah, that's the thing is like, how do you, when she's got so much power, it all feels pretty, I don't know, I'm bummed.
I feel like with Festerson, as far as like, I don't think any of them should be listening. I feel like it's so.
You don't feel like any of them should be listening?
Or I feel like it's not their job necessarily to listen. I feel like, because again, think about if they listen to Larry every week. Like.
And they do have to listen to Larry.
Well, they listen to him, but think about, they said, okay, Larry, how do you want us to vote on this? And perfect example, Larry is in Pete's district.
Well, okay, so I guess yes, I agree, and I hear what you're saying, but I think that we'll take this library case again, for example. Maybe you've got like wacko Larry on one side and wacko Sarah Johnson on the other side, like we're pretty extremes, but your job, at least the way that I probably mistakenly understand the position, is you are supposed to like take in all of the information, do your own research, vet some of these, like whether it's board members or whatever in the library position, it's does this plan make sense? And then vote once you collect the facts and you hear from your constituents. I feel like Pete was like, well, we have to do it or whatever. The library won't exist. And like with Brinker's bullshit, like, well, I'm just concerned there's going to be a gap in services. There's going to be a gap in services anyway. And so for them to act like that was like some sort of scare tactic, I want to be like, okay, then what are you doing right now to ensure that there will not be a gap? Since apparently that was the reason that you voted. Like, it just, it's exhausting on purpose. And they did all of this, I think, very strategically to make sure that it's convoluted and complicated and exhausting. And it fucking worked. Like, I mean, to their credit, this is one thing I will say about Stothard is she's not stupid. She's very calculated and very manipulative and a good politician, you know, from that perspective, in my opinion. Doesn't make it feel any better, especially when you know it's just like she's bowing down to developers and big money interests rather than the lowly residents that she should be serving. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. I know someone asked about the BID. It's just not, so going back to the Little Bohemia BID, it's in the beginning stages, right? They haven't even chosen members, or I don't know what to call it.
Well, the other good point that was brought up about that is that they're also mayoral appointed. So all of these mayoral appointed boards and commissions and committees and bullshit are completely bogus because it's all just yes men from the mayor. So, I mean, I was kicked off of the Benson BID. I used to be a BID board member until the mayor realized who I was and then eliminated me. So it just goes to show that, like, once again, if you're not just lockstep in with whatever she has to say, you have no value to her and you will be eliminated or blackballed or whatever, you know, like your voice will be squashed. And so,
well, and we heard that too from librarians who participated in these conversations about the library board, that there were people applying for those open spots on the board of trustees that were essentially ignored until, you know, applications from people who were in the mayor's orbit, you know, came through, and then those got pushed forward.
totally.
And so that was her name, Kim, you said?
The woman that came and spoke and said,
Yeah.
Is this mayoral appointed?
And so this Little Bohemia BID, it sounds a little bit different. So if it's not just, they said that they're thinking about not just businesses, that if there is a resident that is maybe a homeowner, I don't know if other it could be a renter. But Kim kind of brought up, she's just like, are these mayor appointments? Because if that's the case, I'm not ever gonna get this, and how it's sort of unfair. But it was really interesting how Susan Koenig, they asked us, like, someone said, hey, can you make sure that woman back there gets your information? And Susan Koenig laughed. She's just like, yeah, I know who Kim is. She knows who we are. Kim is awesome. Like, and so as far as like the neighborhood, you know, it seems like she would be a perfect BID member. But I think she kind of just this, like, if the mayor has to appoint me, she's like, I'm not getting on that. But it's in the very beginning stages. And so for people that are in the chat that want to know more about it, contact Bernard Indenbosch, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And they also, I guess, something else that kind of got brought up, I think it was by Festerson, was it would be interesting if there was like a BID manager within the city instead of just the law department who handles it, which is where Indenbosch is positioned currently, who handles, I guess, formation of the BIDs. So just.
And then is it a fee or a tax?
So it's different in different BIDs, which we also learned after there was some conversation about the North 24th Street BID and how that is assessed comparatively. Like, I'll tell you what I know, which is in Benson. So when I owned the shop in Benson, I had to pay special taxes every year to the BID. And then that is what the BID board has as their budget. You know, and they do like beautification projects and safety lighting, like emergency buttons, those sorts of things. Recycling, they don't have the budget for. So we actually finally got the bins in Benson removed completely. They were duct taped over for a while. Like, it's just, yeah. Anyway, so those are the types of things that the BID could spend money on. So it's within a certain boundary. every address get assessed the tax, just businesses. There are some homes and some businesses, but it's everything within a certain boundary. And so conversely, on North 24th Street, if they want to, like, we talked about this council club, they bought that terrible billboard that was like disrespectful. Anyway, the BID paid for that, but they don't have money to play with. Like, they don't have a budget. They have to buy the billboard and then submit the receipt to the city to get reimbursed. So different BIDs work different ways. I don't know. That seems kind of just weird to me. That I don't know. Everything seems messed up.
And so like the Benson BID work, they got the trash cans, they keep the parking lot scooped.
Yep.
Or they shovel the parking lot.
Yep.
What else can they?
Landscaping, like when they did that bioswale.
Oh, and those art banners.
Yep, the banner. Yeah, there's a lot of different little initiatives that they do. And the BID meetings are open to the public. That's actually, I dropped in on one a couple months ago, and that's when I found out that there was a shooting inside that Sam's S&M arcade that was just to the east of my shop. Anyway, interesting times. But yeah, all BIDs function, I guess, a little bit differently, but the idea is it's kind of business owners, property owners. That's the other thing that's kind of potentially different with this one. In Benson, it had to be a certain percentage, had to be property owners, which I think is kind of messed up, actually, because a lot of times, like, you know, in some districts, people who own the buildings don't even live in the city because they're just land like they just buy property and then they don't give a fuck, and so they just are gone. And then you've got these little business owners who are renters, but they don't qualify to be on the BID board because they're just lowly renters. They don't actually own property. So I just don't like that aspect of BIDs. And it sounds like this one may be different, but just kind of interesting how they all supposedly function similarly, but are treated a little bit differently. And yes, Lori, that whole the North 24th Street BID, they don't have a budget. And I don't know, part of me is like, okay, because that was my first thought. It's like, oh my God, they have to get reimbursed after they already spent it out of their own pocket. That's messed up. And then I was like, or is it better that they aren't just taxing everybody in the area additionally when they don't, I don't know, it could go either way, but it feels weird that is the outlier. Like, because to me, I think that's the only one that I've heard of anyway that's treated that way, which, we're about to jump into some North Omaha redevelopment stuff we'll talk about.
And so like 3 weeks ago when they had all the BID assessments and North Omaha came out and people were just like, my name's on this list. I have no idea
what's going on.
There was a big, like, couple $1,000 fine. I don't know if it's a fine at that point or
no, I think it's just it's just an assessment.
And the North 24th Street BID had 3 pages of late fees, where Benson had like, I think 2 or 3 lines. All the other BIDs, there would be just a handful. So maybe the North 24th Street, they're just like, we're not paying that. So the city's like, well, cool, then we're not paying you either. I'm like,
yeah, I don't know. It seems, I guess like the big thing that I picked up from both the Little Boho upcoming BID and the North 24th Street is like communication. The city sucks at communication all over the place, and this is no different. And if a bill more or less just shows up in your mailbox and you're like, what is this even for? Like, we're gonna buy some like shitty billboard with it. Like, they didn't even know that. They're just like, I'm getting a bill for what? So communication. I have strong feelings about that, but all right, I guess we've probably spent enough time on that. But yeah, seems kind of weird. I guess we'll see. I think the cool things are, I guess first, this is not cool. Item 6 is for some development out at 210th and Emmett. And of course there are NIMBYs, not in my backyard, concerned about, property values and traffic. Those are usually the recurring themes of don't build these apartments near my neck of the woods.
Yeah, just the only reason I put it in the notes was just because I want to see like how quickly it gets passed and how little attention is paid to this is a neighbor that lives 3 houses down from this proposed, and I can't wait for Tuesday to be like, anyone in opposition? Nope, cool, let's go, 7-0 next. So it's going to be, I feel like a lot of these things we have on here today are just like, we already can tell it's going to be 7-0, but it's just like how quickly they're going to take the communication in opposition or support and just like crumple it up and like, yeah, thanks, but yeah, not interested.
Oh, see, there's that broken link.
Yeah.
Okay, the thing that I'm excited about, and I was hoping Manny was going to be here today because I love Manny, and he has got so much work put into items 11 and 12. Nope, just kidding. 11. Let's start with 11. That's not Manny. That is the Civic Auditorium redevelopment plan. I don't know if y'all looked into item 11 at all, but they are going to be, it's where they knocked down the Civic Auditorium years ago. And at one point we were told that the library was going to go there. Actually, I was at that gala for Downtown Inc. I was there on behalf of ModeShift. This was years ago, accepting an award when ModeShift partnered with Restoration Exchange, and we saved the spec building. So we were awarded, some recognition for that. And the mayor spoke at that, and she was on stage and she said, "We are moving the library to the old Civic Auditorium site. It's going to be great." And I actually confronted her after in the lobby after that. I was like, "Oh, that's interesting. I hadn't heard anything about the Civic Auditorium becoming the library." And she's like, "Well, it's not a done deal yet, but it's happening." And I was like, "Well, you just told everyone." Anyway, so it's happening now, but it's not going to be the library. It's going to be mixed use, mixed income housing as well. Some market rate, some affordable, and of course some parking. Geez Louise. But they're also, the city is, so we own that as a city. We are selling 7 of the 9 acres to developers for them to do whatever they want with, once again. And we're retaining 2 acres for either more development or some civic user, which, what does that mean? So I don't know.
White Lotus.
Yeah. We'll see what happens with number 11. Okay. So the ones that I'm actually excited about, that I was professing my love for Manny about, are items 12 and 13. One is the 24th and Lake redevelopment plan. That's item 12. And item 13 is the Forever North housing and multimodal transportation strategy. I think the first plan is like 84 pages and the next one's 135 pages. I haven't obviously read all of them because the agenda just came out a few hours ago, but it's really well done, really detailed. And the number 1 priority is anti-displacement, which I think is huge and really important, especially when, we're seeing a lot all over town, really. But I think that it's just cool that there was so much community engagement. I mean, when you look at, I have to pull up on my laptop, I won't find it here, but I think there was like 300 different people that they surveyed, and they went door to door and they did open hours on, they just really did a great job of public engagement. And if you have been to any of so Manny works for Spark, who's behind a lot of this. He also is behind a lot of the North Omaha Trail. And if any of you were on any of those meetings, it was full Zoom screens, just so many people. I don't know. I just think it's cool when there are good examples of true public engagement, and I think that this is one of them. And I'm just really proud of Manny.
So those are gonna pass.
Yeah,
there's probably gonna be a lot of people there talking in support.
I hope so. Yes.
Yeah.
So we'll see, but it passed planning board, no problem. Plenty of people in support, so that's exciting. But it would be you should peruse those documents, because what was interesting to me, I don't remember which one it was. But there's my broken link again. One of them has a broken link. I need to at least let Manny know, and or the city, although, but they were talking about how much of the redevelopment area is actually city owned compared to housing, compared to transport. It's just kind of, it's again, in depth, well done.
The multimodal one.
Yeah. So jump into those. They're pretty cool. 11 has a broken link. Okay, yeah. But again, I think they should go through no problem. But
so, speaking of broken links, you said, Sarah, you've messaged the clerk about broken links, and nothing ever happens, or typos?
I mean, eventually they get, or typos, but that's just me being petty. They don't fucking care if it says gold instead of golf. We found another.
I found a typo, and I come running downstairs I found a typo.
Who cares?
Yeah,
when they don't care about us all, hundreds of people coming out about the library, I don't care about a typo. Anyway.
Well, you know what? I thought that I just glanced at it while I was eating dinner, but it looked like that they had put more instructions on this agenda than usual, like how things actually work. And I just wondered if that was because there were so many people that showed up for the library thing. Maybe it's that way all the time. I just didn't notice it.
Yeah, on the first page where it says a person is allowed to speak to her, that's always there.
Yeah.
And that, because I think what I have thought was kind of funny is, when Chris Jerem was the president, he would, the mic would cut out at 3 minutes, and now Festerson's kind of just talk until you're done talking. And it does, I remember looking at that specifically because I was like, I thought it was 3 minutes, and it says, nope, the presiding officer shall determine the amount of time for speakers. So yeah, that has been on there before. But yeah, I just kind of wonder, we talked a little bit about how they're kind of like dancing around and pushing back and like making some comments that maybe were kind of in response to the library testimonies, but I don't know if anything will change. Maybe not as immediately as I would like. Never, patience is not my strong suit, but maybe it'll be a trickle.
I think we might have talked about this week before how the mayor doesn't have, there is no time that you can go and speak in front of the mayor.
Right? Can you
And
imagine?
most of these resolutions and ordinances, it's always the mayor has requested or at the, and the city council is the ones that has to hear it. I feel like they're not the ones that were necessarily, I feel like our anger, a lot of people's anger is misplaced at the council when they're just the only place that we have to go and scream at.
They are the check and balance though. Like that's the thing that bugs me about it is like, yes, they don't, they aren't the ones coming up with some of these ideas, but they are supposed to be there in a fucking world that makes more sense to say, we don't understand. You just dumped this on us for a vote. You expect our support. You didn't even brief us on it until yesterday. Like in a world where things make sense, they would say, no, we're voting no, the world won't end. We need more respect from you. We need more heads up on this stuff. We want you to actually value our input. So like, yes, I agree there. I mean, definitely there's no place you can yell at the mayor except for the mayor's hotline, which I do employ sometimes. And another thing, public engagement means you listen. But anyway, so the city council is there to hear public input. Yes, the mayor brings a lot of these things to it, but I'm still holding them. I mean, whatever that even means, hold them accountable. But I do still believe that it is their job to act as a check and balance. They're not doing it, but they should. So I feel fine yelling at them because they are the ones who should be doing something to stop her bad ideas. That's the whole point of the way that this government structure right now it works. That is the intent, and it's not working. But that's what I think anyway. Okay, item number 17, typo, gold should be golf. Way to go, Scott. Like, then we did, okay, so this is the other thing that Scott has been downloading, and maybe he already said this, but downloading prior agendas and whatever, so that then he can just use his computer for a control F to find whatever, in this case, Two Fine Irishmen. It both like set off our spidey senses, like what, something happened with Two Fine Irishmen before. This is of course a liquor license request. It's item 18. They're now requesting an outdoor beer garden when they already got communication in opposition from December about how they have noise issues, and now they're going to just be expanding.
So in December, there was a liquor, one of the neighbors of Two Fine Irishmen was getting a new liquor license. Someone wrote in opposition saying like, I don't even know who this new liquor license is, but Two Fine Irishmen is fucking loud. I can hear them. They keep their doors open all the time. And so I was just like, oh, surely they're going to be down there, or maybe they're going to write a letter, or they probably got the notice because they're within 500 feet of the other business. But no, nothing there. And so I was just like, maybe I should contact Don Rowe. It's in his district and be like, hey, just so you know, like when the Two Fine Irishmen come to ask for a beer garden, which is going to be even more noise, maybe you should bring this up for one of your constituents. But I'm like, you know what? The system's broken. Like, good luck. I'm sure. Yeah, we just last week we gave a liquor license to a casino, so it's all good. Yeah, I was so excited that I can now. My computer is like this insane database of, I think since 2009, I started downloading every single agenda from 2009. What I really want to figure out is how I can download every single attachment and then convert it to text. That's like the next level. So
I think we need new hobbies. This is what I'm trying to like. We need to just like pull back a little bit because we'll be less angry if we are not like so focused on the things that we cannot change. Like it's that whole like grant me the whatever to change it. Yeah, we're working on it. Okay, speaking of change, item 38 is Rudy Smith Senior Street now on Lake, I think between 36th and 38th or something like that. This is item 38. Who's a World Herald photographer who died in 2019, so they're renaming the street in his honor. 39 and 40, I think that was like some environmental stuff for the tiny home development near Sienna Francis House.
One of them was for soil.
Yeah,
Cleaning up the dirt.
Kind of
But again, this
Yeah,
is on
environmental
consent agenda,
services.
so zero
No
discussion,
Yeah.
7-0. The biggest one is number 41, $50 million for metro area consortium. Oh geez, consortium of care for the homeless. Match.
Yep.
And is that Naomi?
Not anymore.
Oh, she's
Na-
next door.
Yeah, she's
Or-
front porch
but-
now,
Okay.
but it is for,
Emergency
Emergency.
rental assistance program, 50 million.
Yeah.
So that's COVID money.
It does say from the Emergency Rental Assistant Program
Yeah.
Fund. So I think that is somehow through that. It's not ARPA specifically, but
That'd be a
earmarked
good one.
for- Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's at least something positive
Yeah,
there.
that's a boatload of money.
Yeah, that is a lot of money, which is necessary. Unfortunately, the governor doesn't think we need help in that department, but anywho. All right. Oh, 48's for a lawsuit, a settlement of
we tried-
$75,000.
So does the Hive, what's the name again?
Bierman, because I
Bran-
know a Bierman. This
Brandon
is
Bierman
Brandon Bierman.
was fired by the city of Omaha in 2017 and is suing for damages, or go back
There's
to the
not enough,
notes. It's real small. Damages for retaliation for being terminated by the city of Omaha. We cannot find anything about him or this person. I assume it's a Brandon Bierman. In the past, we know that a police officer violated
Racially
someone's
profiled,
civil rights. There was a snow plow that, or a public works truck. So if anyone knows anything about Brandon Bierman, Bierman, I looked at the World Herald Archive. It looks like he graduated from UNO in the 90s, but no other mention of that name. So $75,000 for being fired from the city. I kind of want to know what it's all about.
I know, it makes you curious.
I guarantee there will be zero discussion. It'll
Yep.
be voted 7-0.
Right.
So it's
Last-
more just interesting.
So I saw something that just said he had a violation of civil rights.
Yep.
Okay.
So I don't know if his civil rights were violated or if he violated someone else's civil rights. I don't know.
Probably his, if he's the one getting 75K.
Yeah. So was he? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think like the Omaha, I don't know, Omaha has an issue with civil rights.
Yeah. And so there was a settlement for when the police officer violated someone's civil rights. Zero discussion.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of makes our job easier whenever there's anything to do with the police. We're just like, cool, that's gonna pass 7-0, like, and zero discussion. So if this has anything to do with the police or public works, or if your name's not Brandon Bierman, don't waste
Yeah,
your
don't worry
time.
about it.
We've
Yeah.
already wasted too much time.
Yeah.
So moving on to non-action items. It's probably gonna be a pretty quick meeting on
Yeah.
this Tuesday. But looking ahead to March 1st, I think. Yeah, there's no meeting on the 22nd. But they're talking about catalytic converter theft on March 1st. So there will be a public hearing there. But it's giving the police more powers to somehow track down catalytic converter theft. I don't know. I know some people are interested in that, so that's coming up March 1st. That's looking way ahead. Yeah. So yeah, no meeting on the 22nd. We're gonna be out of town next Thursday. Probably no council club next Thursday. So yeah, I've been getting really excited about. Well, I don't know about really excited, but the midterm elections. And so the primary is in 88 days, May 10th. We even got our little green early voting postcard request. And so I go to Douglas County, and I look at all the people that are running. And I think so it's a bunch. The Douglas County attorney, a lot of Nebraska legislators, commissioners, a whole list. So the one I started with on top was Douglas County attorney. That's Don Klein. He's been in office for a while. And he's Dave Pantos is running against him. And so if you live in Douglas County, you're going to be able to vote. Although if it's a primary, it's a partisan primary. So I think because there's only two, we actually won't get to even vote in the primary. I don't even know if they'll be on the primary ballot. I think they just move straight to the general. So, okay.
Well, either way, Pantos is the guy.
Yeah, I think we need to start getting excited about Pantos. And I was talking with Cheryl Wesson the other day, and she didn't know who Pantos was. And I'm like, oh my God. So if you don't know who Dave Pantos is, check him out, show him some support.
Because Ricketts, as Laura just mentioned, $10,000 donation to Don Klein from
Yeah.
Pete Ricketts. So
Yeah.
you can see who aligns with who. And I fucking hate Pete Ricketts, as I'm sure most people, I can guarantee everyone on this call does. So yeah, Dave Pantos is going to be better.
And Don Klein switched from a Republican,
Nope, from a Democrat.
from a Democrat to a Republican after the Democrats,
Yes,
the Democrats called him out for being a racist.
yes.
Like, damn right, I'm a racist, and I voted for Trump, which was a couple months ago. So he was already a Republican, just a dino, a Democrat in name only. And Dave Pantos, he's part of the tenant assistant program. Oh yeah, helping
Yeah,
people with
same, so-
eviction. So yeah, and he's been commenting on the Blackstone DUI pedestrian death. That which Don Klein is not going to be for homicide
Vehicular
or
homicide.
yeah. So just a complete black and white. And as far as like change, I don't think Dave Pantos will necessarily listen to the constituents more. He just will. His view is already aligned with, I think, a lot of our views. Or that's the way I'm looking
More
at it.
so
More so than Don Klein.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so moving on to the Nebraska Legislator, District 4 is Robert Hickelman. He is term limited. And so Cindy Maxwell Osdeck, who is sometimes on Council Club and a friend of ours, she is running for that seat. She's running as an independent, nonpartisan, and she does have a challenger, I believe, from the right, Brad Von Gillard.
Gillard.
Yeah. So if you live in District 4, which Sarah's parents do,
Yep.
um,
So West Central.
yeah. But again, with the primary, I guess there's only 2 in the primary. They're going to probably move straight to the general. Okay, so here we go. District 6, Michaela Cavanaugh. There's going to be 3 people in that primary. So that one we're going to have to look at. And we're not, she's right, kind of a crossroads.
She's by Crossroads. Yeah.
Crossroads Mall.
Just north of the mall.
And it was really interesting. So in 2008, Teresa Thibodeau ran against her. And
Which is
also,
Milton's sister, who is
Yeah.
also now running for governor.
yeah, so thankfully, Michaela Cavanaugh is not going to have to compete against Thibodeau, but she does have 2 other people. And I heard that contest is going to be rough.
Because Ricketts wants her out of there.
Ricketts wants her out. And so he's going to throw some money at Elizabeth Hallgren and Christian Murch are the 2 other people that have filed. And just, I found out that in 2018, Ricky Fulton, who we know, he is quite a character. We like characters. He ran against Michaela Cavanaugh in 2018. Didn't even make it to the general. So moving on to District 8, Megan Hunt. She is filed for re-election, but no one else has even filed. So I assume she's probably gonna go straight to the general. District 10, Wendy DeBoer also filed for re-election, and Lou Ann Gooding. I don't know who that is. So there's only 2.
Luann Godding, do not vote for her. She was on the school OPS school board for a long time. One of her sons played baseball with my son. She is whack. I mean, she's like super, well, I'm sorry. I shouldn't say it like that. She's very, very, very conservative on, basically any issue or measure we would look at.
There you go. So yeah, that's District 10. That's sort of north, I think, like Lake Cunningham-ish, the northwest Omaha. I think that's what District 10 is.
She was actually chair of the OPS school board for several years.
Is that
So
her name rings a bell, and I don't have a good connotation with it, but I didn't know. Maybe that is how I.
yeah, that would be the most likely reason that name rings a bell for you. But yeah, she's I would just recoil.
No, that's sort of why I put all these names down, because I don't recognize half these names. So yeah, if you guys recognize any more, I'm going to keep going. So District 12 is Steve Lathrop. He's not term limited, but I don't know.
He's a good guy.
Yeah.
He's an earnest, you know, kind of Irish Catholic Democrat sort of guy.
Yep.
Hardworking, thoughtful. You know, I don't always agree with him on everything, but he's a very earnest, admirable kind of person.
So I don't know if he hasn't.
Running again.
I didn't have the time to check his Twitter or wherever if he is running again. The clock is ticking. We think they have like maybe a week or two left to file. Or you thought it
I
might have been
thought I
Monday.
heard it was Monday, but
But there are two other people, a Bryce
Lukowski,
Lukowski and Haley, how do you say that?
Kucera,
Kucera,
Kucera.
that's District 12. And then moving on to District 18, which is Brent Lindstrom. He is term limited, and he's running for governor. I'm not even going to worry about who's running for governor because I feel like
Ugh.
I'm just focusing on races that I think are winnable or could go one way or the other. There's two people that have filed for District 18, Clarice Jackson and Christy Armendariz. All these names, if you go to Vote Douglas County, you can click on candidates open for, there's a whole candidate list. So if any of these names ring a bell or don't, you can go find them there. District 20, John McAllister is term limited. Unfortunately, he was a good one, even a Republican. And so that one, I had a red flag on that one. It's interesting because a John Fredrickson and Julie Fredrickson are both running. I was like, wow, husband and wife are both running for the same seat. Turns out not related, or at least I don't think they are. John is a private mental health professional, he has his own practice. And then Julie Fredrickson donated to Jake Gardner. So that's going to be a big no for me. And there's a third person, a Stu Dornan. So hopefully Stu and John make it to the primary, and Julie Fredrickson
Kicks rocks.
gets, yeah.
Stu Dornan, that sounds so familiar.
I agree. Yeah. Okay, now I'm just gonna do a
Never
Google
look at-
search. Oops.
But John Fredrickson's a Democrat. He's from Omaha. I think he studied in New York. Looking up Stu Dorman.
That's not, he didn't used to be Douglas County attorney, did he?
Defense attorney, former prosecutor Stu Dornan enters candidacy for Douglas County attorney.
Because his name sounded familiar to me too.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how they spell it, Stu Dornan. Yeah, so some kind of attorney.
Since it's a non-partisan primary and there are three people running, between Stu and John Fredrickson, I would suggest. And yeah, Julie Fredrickson can kick rocks. And then a couple of Crystal Rhodes, who is the Public Service Commission?
Mm-hmm.
And then is she Douglas? How does she relate to Douglas County?
She's also Douglas County Democratic Party
Yes.
chair.
Yes.
And she and Jane Klebb are like always at each other's throats. I don't even know whose side to be on about that, because they both just piss me off with how petty some of those little stupid ass fights have been.
Yep.
So, but yeah, she's been on the Public Service Commission for quite a while.
And yeah, she just got reelected. I think we even had her sign in our front yard in 2020. I believe it's a 6-year term. And so she's going to be in that position until 2027. And I guess you can, just like Danny Begley, you can be on multiple boards. She is running for Douglas County Clerk of the District Court. We don't think that's Dan Ash's job. We just think he's Douglas County Clerk. So again, Crystal Rhodes for the District Court, Douglas County Clerk, District Court.
And no one's running.
And I don't think anyone is running
her.
against her. So she might just get it by default. And
But
can you,
she's done some shady, like, I don't
yeah,
know. I don't, but again.
Yeah,
we'll get-
I'm with you. I'm not a big fan.
yeah, was she the one that helped with the flyer against Cammie?
She was running a couple campaigns,
Yes.
which is illegal to do when you're, yeah, there's
No,
like
her
some-
husband did, remember?
Yeah, exactly. Her husband, who is a bike mechanic that I've known for, anyway, whatever. So yeah, good times.
And there's a bunch of empty seats, or there's a bunch of people running unopposed. So Douglas County commissioners, it's the even years. So districts 2, 4, and 6. James Kavanaugh has filed. No one is running against him. District 4, PJ Morgan has filed. Also, nobody is running against him. Then District 6, Mary Ann Borgeson also has filed. And so I have this massive spreadsheet of everyone in Douglas County, and when they were first elected. She is tied for the record. Her and an OPPD District 8, Michael Kavanaugh, were both elected in 1994.
Get
I
out
was
of
gonna say, Marianne Borgeson has been on the county board since I moved here in 1994.
94,
Yep.
28 years ago.
way too long. Get out of the way. Like, ugh.
Yeah. And she's not the worst. She brought up cahoots.
Yeah, but what kind of action is she taking around?
Yeah. I feel like we need, oh man, there's a Chris Jerem quote. We talked about how we need fresh ideas. And I feel like, and he said that, in order for a vibrant democracy. And so what we're getting with Mary Ann Borgeson is not
Stale.
fresh ideas and not a vibrant democracy. So
Right, it's that idea of step up or step aside.
So,
Yeah.
so do we vote for the person that's taking Douglas County assessor's job?
yeah, so Diane Badiato, right?
She's not running.
she's not
again.
running.
I heard that
And
she.
Walt Pfeffer is, and he used to work or still does for PJ Morgan, and he has to be ancient by now.
He is.
And I didn't write it down, but I think there's 2 people running for that. Yeah, it's Walt Pfeffer and someone else. Yeah, so that would be, again, if there's only 2, I think they both kind of go through to the primary.
But I will tell you, as someone who has run, if you can vote for someone, vote for them. If you see them on the primary ticket, don't skip it. Like, don't say, oh, they're just going to get through, because you really like rely on the information that you gather in the primary to kind of figure out, which you of all people would know that better than anybody. So I would just say, don't ignore the primary if it's on the ballot. Yeah,
Well, I think if there's only 2, they go straight
they
to
don't
the.
even get
yeah.
on the ballot.
Although, no, you had
They
3.
yeah. Some I would just say, I guess I would say, I don't know
Yeah.
in all these cases.
And then
I just know how upsetting it was when some people didn't vote in the primary that like donated to the campaign, but they're like, we didn't get your vote. Yeah, our literal neighbors, y'all. Our literal neighbors didn't. Anyway, moving right along.
moving on. So anyway, so back to Mary Ann Borgeson. Actually, someone is running against her. John McCain.
Not the dead one.
Yeah, it's 2 extras. I don't know anything about him, but he hasn't been in office for 28 years. So that's,
Might be an upgrade.
we're in district. We just moved districts. We used
they
to be in
redistricted
Chris
us, yeah.
Rogers, and now we're in Maureen
Boyle.
Boyle. Yeah. So we went from 3 to 5, or we're still in the evens or the odds. This is going to be an interesting one. So Douglas County engineer. I didn't know much about this. It's currently Tom Doyle.
So you see what someone put in the chat? He's 90 years old and has been living in assisted living for a while as the acting county engineer.
Wow.
That's unbelievable. Also not, because like, yay, Nebraska.
We should go
like,
visit him.
What? Ugh, I don't want
What does that person do?
Apparently nothing. That's what I'm thinking. If they sit in
It's
like,
Douglas
But
County.
well, what's the official job description? And I'm wondering what the pay is. I mean, why does Todd want that job?
I think it's 150 grand a year or something like
Yeah, I
that.
think you're right. I think 160.
And I'm like, so y'all know how I feel about Todd Fitzer. So I'm trying to decide if this would be like good for like local advocates if Fitzer went away, or away from the city and to the county, because I like this Doyle person. I mean, I have heard Fitzer's name a bazillion times as a roadblock on a lot of these projects. I've never heard Boyle, so like, yeah, maybe he's
Doyle.
rotting in at Doyle. I don't want to say rotting in it.
So he ran unopposed in 2018. I guess it's good he's not running for re-election, yeah, so
Yeah.
Todd Fitzer is running, and Jim Rose are the two that are on the primary ballot.
Did I ever tell all of you about how we filed a complaint against Fitzer with the state? Didn't go.
Oh, you
anywhere.
I knew that there was an effort to do that. I was talking to Angie about that quite a bit.
Yeah, Angie and I are the ones who put our names on it. This was a couple years ago, I guess.
What happened with that? I don't even
Not a
remember.
damn thing.
Well, I think it got reviewed.
That's why I don't remember.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, we put so much work into that. It was pages because we had so much documentation of how much he lied and how
Lots of evidence.
yeah, yeah. And it didn't matter. It's just like because we've tried so many different ways over the years, y'all. Like that's why I'm so tired. Is like I'm just out of ideas. I've tried. I mean, to the point, literally running for city council. Like I'm out of ideas. I'm out of energy more than anything, and I'm out of like emotion to dump into this shit. But don't vote for Fitzer. He fucking sucks, and he should just move out of the state, let alone.
Yeah, I don't think moving him to Douglas County and out of Omaha, public
Yeah,
works.
I know.
I feel like just
And then also, who would fill his space at Omaha? That wouldn't be good either, probably. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Probably lost cause. But.
so. Let's go to a positive one. Our friend Sally Otis. She's running for the Learning Community Coordinator, District 3, running against a Mark Hoger. Anyway, so Sally Otis, she's a seamstress. Is that what you'd say? She sews.
Small Joy Creations.
Yeah.
is-
I think she's in our District 1. She helped with your campaign.
Yeah. Yep.
And little.
And then also she like sewed the when we did that parklet for the North 24th one, not the South 13th, she sewed the cushion covers. She's just cool. And she like donates portions of her proceeds to like social justice organizations and stuff. She's cool. So
Is
that was-
she related to Harriet Otis?
I'm not sure.
Harriet was this lovely elderly printmaker painter woman that I adored.
Huh.
And
Surprised me.
yeah, I mean,
local
it
artist.
kind of sounds like
Yeah.
she could be.
And I guess I wonder if she our Learning Community Coordinator District 3.
I don't know what
I haven't even looked into that map. I was just going through the master list of everyone who's running. I saw that name. I was like, oh great.
She lives not too far away.
Yeah, I'd imagine we're
Yeah.
in the
I
district.
don't
So
know. how big
let's
it
look
is.
at that map.
Yeah.
And another friend of ours, Brianna Full, has filed for OPS District 2. There are 3 people in that race already. Melvin Muhammad, who I know has announced on First Sky, and then Charnel Shelton. So that's going to be an interesting race. And then moving on to Metro Community College. Dr. Erin Feichtinger I think she's our rep. Yeah, so we're in District 2. But right now, so Districts 2, 3, and 4 are all on the ballot and no one has filed. And I think we
Oh
heard
my
that-
God.
Yeah.
we heard that Dr. Erin is not running. She's trying to get someone else to step up. But I need to ask her what happens if no one runs? Like what it just
Because it's an unpaid position too. So I mean, it's just like a lot of hassle for no.
and I
I mean-
fear that since it's so big, because Metro, it's bigger.
multiple
It's like
counties.
it's Douglas County, Sarpy, it's huge. And I would imagine that Ricketts would get to choose
Oof.
if there's no one.
Oh.
If there's a vacancy, we know this from, if there's a vacancy on OPPD's board, Ricketts gets to choose that as well. It's one of the few boards, or maybe,
I feel like that would be weird if he would choose for Metro, but
yeah.
I've been surprised.
But it's weird if no one runs, then why would you want to choose someone? I don't know how this is going to work out. So yeah, that's 3. So Dr. Aaron for District 2 has not filed. District 3 is currently a Maureen Monahan, has not filed. And then District 4 is an Angela Monegan, also has not filed. And then, so there's, it's weird, Metro has, each district has 2 members. And there's also an at-large, which again, it's 4 counties. It's a huge district. And so the at-large seat is also up. And then Ron Hugg, who has been there for quite a while. He is running for re-election, but then also a friend of ours, Kristen Dupree. She's announced, but she's not on the official Douglas County list yet. So I don't know. I assume she's just getting her ducks in a row before she goes down to actually make it official. But Ron Hug's not the worst. He the reason I know him is because Paul Anderson ran against Ron Hug, and for those of you who don't remember Paul Anderson, there will be no mosques in Omaha. That Paul Anderson.
He was the final straw that pushed me to run. I was like,
Yeah.
that fucking guy is
Yeah.
not going to, no.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So at least he hasn't, I feel like he should, I mean, unfortunately, there's quite a few empty ballots right now. I think he's just gonna go and look at them and be like, oh, I'll take that one. So hopefully he's, again, not running against Ron, but Kristen Dupree is. And then I think we only have one more left. Oh, I saved the best for last. So Millard Board of Education. How do you say it? Lisa Schoenberger. I feel like I know her from Twitter. She's running against Mike Kennedy from the library board.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And there's quite a few people on that have already filed. I think maybe 5 people are going after one seat. And so I would like to see Mike Kennedy get the least amount of votes and not make it through the primary. Obviously, Lisa, we support her. Yeah, and so if anyone else was to look at the rest of that list, but when I saw Mike Kennedy's name, I'm just like, no way in hell. But he's probably gonna get a lot of support from Stothert, and a lot of other people on this list. I think are gonna get money from Ricketts and the Republican
They
Party,
already are.
even though it's a nonpartisan race or a nonpartisan primary. So yeah, that was my last one. Millard Board of Education. So we're not even in that district.
So that's kind of interesting. Mike Kennedy's running for Millard, you said?
Millard Board of Education, yes.
Okay, just interesting because of the library situation out in Millard.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, super interesting. Plus, I mean, he speaks like a person who didn't do great in school or ever go to a library.
You know,
Just to be totally, totally catty and snotty about, how people
Accurate.
present.
he's a lawyer.
Yeah, I know. Somebody's got to graduate at the bottom of the class.
And is he the one that calls Stothert
Mother.
mother?
That's what we heard. I don't even remember who told me that. It's a total rumor, but I thought it was hilarious. And I could see that being a reality, but I don't even remember who told us that.
So again, the election's May 10th. This is the primary. It's in 88 days. I don't think I've seen one yard sign.
I think that, can you even put them up yet?
Oh,
I know that there's it's so many days before.
well, we have a Ross Perot sign
Oh yeah.
that's
Our
been up since the
neighbors' yard.
80s. And then we also have a Trump sign with-
We have neighbors that have
Neighbors
these signs.
that we on our daily walk. And we know the Ross Perot sign.
Yeah, he's just hilarious.
He's a friend. But there's a Trump sign with Pence's name taped over.
Yeah.
And they've written something in Pence, and we're always trying to look.
I'm too scared to walk into their lawn though to actually see what the sign says, but they duct taped over Pence's sign and wrote something in marker over it. And I'm just like, oh God, that's gotta be something real special. Oh my God.
Whoa!
Where'd you find that, Cindy? Gross.
that
Take it
come
off.
with the virus in it? Was that from? You're on mute.
Is it showing up backwards?
No.
No, it's showing forwards.
Okay,
I can read it.
For me, it's backwards.
Yeah.
But no, I found this picking up trash, so I washed it. And if I want to piss somebody off,
Oh my God.
That's like a Larry David. He did that on Curb Your Enthusiasm. He wore the hat whenever he wanted to get through a meeting without piss. Or yeah,
Oh my
so I
God.
gotta put on my MAGA hat. That's awesome. Wow, what a
Gross.
score!
Whew. All right.
You can sit
Okay.
next to Larry at the next council meeting.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh man.
maybe I should give it to him.
I'm not going anymore. Did I tell you he offered me a ride home after I don't know, 2 weeks ago or whatever? It's like, I'm good, thank you. It's like, it's too cold for you to ride home. And I was like, I will not be joining you in an enclosed vehicle, sir. Ugh. Anyway, all right. think that is all we had. What else do y'all think about stuff? Also, welcome, Alex.
Sarah, I've been thinking about you in part because I just checked out this book from the library called Light Maker's Manifesto, How to Work for Change Without Losing Your Joy.
Someone else just told me
And-
to read that book. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna post a link to it in the chat. I just started it, but as soon as I saw the title, it was like, oh my God, this is the book Sarah needs to read. And the woman who wrote it is she's an attorney, but she like left her law practice and has been a professional photographer and storyteller, and has worked on a lot of social justice issues. And it sounds like she also either works or hangs out with Brene Brown. So, it's like I think she's very aware, and the little bit that I've read so far, is very clear and powerful. And I you've just been on my mind, and then especially with that.
Thank you. You're like the third person to tell me that they've thought of me while reading that book. So I think, and I've also been told I should not just check it out from the library. I need to purchase it. So maybe I'll do that. But good to.
I was gonna read it before I bought it for you, but
You're sweet to think of me. Thank you. Yeah, you'll have to let me know how it is when you are completing it, because yeah.
And I want to ask Alex a question, but I think I'm going to wait till we stop recording.
Yeah, fair. Do we have anything else we want to say while we're recording, or I can happily hit stop? Okay, if anyone is watching on YouTube, we're not doing this next week, and there's no meeting on the 22nd, but we will come back and do this council club thing again on the 24th. Okay, I'm hitting stop.